Time for some SEC basketball from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia. 11th ranked Alabama is trying to snap a two-game road losing streak as the Tide heads to Soda City to take on the Gamecocks. Here's why it's so important for Alabama. They're chasing their first conference title since 2002. And with that, perhaps a one seed in the NCAA tournament. They have a two-game lead on the loss column against Missouri, and that's a three-game lead amongst four others. Welcome, everybody. Tom Hart, joined virtually by John Sunvold. Sonny, a couple weeks ago we were talking about Alabama as a Final Four team, maybe a national title contender, and for good reason, but they've fallen on hard times as of late.
Yeah, they've not played as well as they were a month ago, but a lot of games left. And I think tonight, what you'll see, Tom, is an Alabama team we've seen a few weeks ago. I think they'll be aggressive off the dribble. They'll attack early. They'll kick it out. They'll make more shots. I think they've struggled the last couple games, 2 out of the last 3 with losses, because they have not played like Alabama on the offensive end. They've been fine defensively, but offensively they've not done what they did earlier.
Oates is concerned with a lackadaisical attitude around his team. They played with a sense of urgency finally in the last few minutes in the Missouri game on Saturday, but a massive comeback came up just short for Alabama in a 3-point loss. They scored 21 of the game's final 25 points. South Carolina, dismal second half against Mississippi State this weekend after a close game through the first quarter or so against the Bulldogs. And they're trying to get back on track. Ball is in the air, and we are underway as Joe Lindsey gets us started at midcourt. Seventh Woods will run the point for South Carolina, national champion in North Carolina and a Columbia native, has been playing with a lot of confidence lately.
He's got his confidence back, and I would expect South Carolina. They have been up and down. It's kind of every other game, and they did not play well second half against the Bulldogs and Mississippi State. I would expect them, again, to play well tonight. I think this is going to be a fantastic game.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups for Alabama, brought to you by Farm Rich. You see Herb Jones in the starting lineup, gets a shot off. He's been bothered by a back injury. We've got a goaltending call for the first bucket of the game for Alabama. Good to see Herbert Jones in the starting lineup, Sonny, but whether or not he's able to produce with that back injury has been a key component for Alabama over the last few weeks.
Yeah, the back is not good, but it will not be good till he sits out for a long time. So let's say that's at the end of the season. He's going to have to live with back pain. Those of us who've had back pain, we know it's not fun. What he's got to get better at, he's good defensively. Offensively, it's not so much the scoring. He's had a lot of turnovers. He's been loose with the basketball. And Nate Oates, again, as well and talented as Herb Jones is, he's been frustrated on the offensive end by the silly turnovers, especially by Senior Jones.
John Petty just picked up a foul a moment ago. Here's Levesque inside, and he gets it to roll home. Wildens Levesque has all 4 early for the Gamecocks.
In 2 of the 3 losses, the last 2 of the 3 losses, Oklahoma and Missouri, both of those teams attacked Alabama early and inside and tried to be physical with this Bama squad.
Juwan Gary picks up the foul. That's his first for the Columbia native. Got a look at Nate Oates doing a tremendous job with Alabama. Well-renowned offensive team over the last couple of seasons. Their defense has been the headliner this season, second, according to Ken Pom, in defensive efficiency. Here's Minaya with the drive. Kuznari will swing it. Seventh Woods into the paint. And an extra pass for 3. Meanwhile, on the other side, John, Frank Martin's defense has a much different look over the last couple of weeks. Oates in his second season, known for his offense. Frank Martin has had to ditch his aggressive defense. It's a much more laid-back defense where they pick up at about the NBA three-point line. He calls it the Cuban pack line.
Yeah, the Cuban pack line. It's not been bad. It's not a normal Frank Martin defense. We know that. But he doesn't have the normal Frank Martin type team. They are not a physical squad. They shy away a little bit of contact. But again, they're a team that kind of runs on emotion. If they're shooting it well, they're playing well, and a lot of teams do that. But if they get into a fist fight, they have backed away from some games, especially like Mississippi State. And Alabama's not one that's going to get in a fist fight. It's not an over-physical team. But this Bama squad will make South Carolina make jump shots.
An air ball from the wing, but then Levesque there to clean it up. This is a very good offensive rebounding team, and now an injury for Alabama. Not a good sign. Jawan Gary, the Columbia native, in pain on the baseline.
Yeah, on the air ball, he was tossed aside. Let's hope he's okay. Doesn't sound very good. On the air ball by Couisnard, and Couisnard has been one of those guys that has not shot the ball well at all this season. We thought Couisnard would have a breakout year because he was so good as a freshman, but he has really struggled shooting the basketball. And on that air ball miss, it was just a toss away by Levesque. He threw Gary to the ground. See what happens down here.
I think it was left arm, upper body that got torqued when Levesque put him down. Kind of looked like a shoulder. Levesque 6'10", 242. Outweighs Gary by 20-plus pounds. Remember, this is an Alabama team already missing a post presence in Jordan Bruner, the Yale transfer, who's on the trip as a key leader in this team, still out due to a torn meniscus. Herbert Jones, their four-man, battling a back injury, and the concern from the Alabama bench. Watching Jawan Gary, who grew up in Columbia, spent his first couple of years of high school right there in his hometown before eventually moving on to Charlotte.
Well, as Tom, as you just said, they're down bodies, and especially the bigs. And we'll see what Nate Oates does as he tries to make some adjustments. You know, it was interesting talking to him today when he just thought they'd lost their edge a little bit. He said a month ago, we were imposing our will early in games, especially offensively. He said that hasn't been the case the last week and a half. They started at Oklahoma. Weren't sharp early. They did the same thing on the Saturday afternoon against Missouri. Weren't sharp early on the offensive end. And I would expect, again, a team that is going to attack more with their quickness off the dribble than they have in the past couple games.
Jones with the foul. South Carolina, throughout the course of the season, has not had a big advantage in the post. They only get 5.5 points a game from Levesque, who's their true 5, but he already has 6 in this one, and that could be an advantage going forward. Turning the corner, Lawson. Rebounded by Petty.
Both of these teams will get out and run and try to score early and often if they can, but both teams get back well defensively. A forced shot by Alabama. There are times, Tom, when you struggle as a team that you try to do it all yourself, and that doesn't work. Alabama's a team that moves the basketball extremely well, shares the ball well, and when you're struggling, good players, and it's good players, have a tendency to say, well, I'll try to get it myself, and that'll help the team. Usually it hurts the team.
Justin Minaya did not make a three in Saturday's loss to Mississippi State, was 0 for 5. And he drains his first. On the other end, 7th Woods gets whistled for the foul, his first.
And Manaya's a guy that South Carolina needs. He has, as you mentioned, he struggled last Saturday. He struggled the last couple of ball games. He only had 2 points in their win at Florida. And Manaya's that guy that's kind of the glue to this team. Everybody respects him. He's got a good voice, solid defensively, but he needs to shoot the ball well when he's got the shots.
Herbert Jones got loose but couldn't finish. Knocked out of bounds by Bam. It'll be South Carolina basketball up 7 thanks to a 7-0 run. And Bam has now missed each of its last 6 field goal attempts. A tough season for Frank Martin and his squad. Go ahead, John.
Well, when you play in a league like this one, there's so many different types of teams. In South Carolina, when they played Mississippi State on Saturday, they didn't match up well. They weren't physical enough against a Bulldog squad down the stretch. And now in comes an Alabama team entirely different than how Mississippi State plays. So South Carolina feels they can score inside against a shorter, smaller Alabama squad.
And they are with Levesque at 6'10", already with 8. 3 ball goes from Josh Primo, freshman from Toronto.
Tom, you saw the stats of the Missouri game and probably watched the Missouri game like many of us did. Josh Primo didn't take a shot, which is almost shocking in nearly 30 minutes.
Lawson answers Primo's three with one of his own. And that'll be a blocking foul on Woods, and quickly his second. All South Carolina early. Joe Morrison will be happy with these black unis at home, and those black jerseys have a 14-5 advantage thanks to strength from three, where the Cocks have hit 2 of 4. SEC Network Men's Basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order only at Zaxby's. Quick start to this one for South Carolina. They've hit 2 from Gervais Street, 2 of 4 from deep, and have a 14-5 lead over 11th-ranked Alabama. What a journey it was for the Crimson Tide in Como on Saturday. This is a game that Missouri had in control. Bama was down 22 at the 13-minute mark, and then they started being Bama. They scored on a 21, finish on a 21-4 run. That was Petty with the three. The defense picked it up. Keon Ellis with the takeaway and the finish. And with a minute left, Alabama was right back in this game. One of the last possessions of the game came here. Missouri would knock down a couple free throws. 1-point game. Herbert Jones, no whistle. Mitchell Smith the block. And Missouri, with this win, would move into the AP top 10. And the loss for Alabama would be their second in their last 3 games after also losing on the road against Oklahoma. John, were you surprised by that flurry, the finish for Alabama?
Well, I was surprised because of how well Missouri was playing. And then Missouri offensively didn't make many shots. Well, they didn't make any shots the last 6 minutes. And then the Tide got on a run, and it was a little more of the Alabama we saw a month ago. And guys like Quinterly started playing a little better than he had been. And that happens. And Petty got a little more aggressive. It happens when you're down, the game's over. And they had a chance to win. And on the last play, Herbert Jones, I know everybody from Alabama and across wanted a foul. And I'm just going to say this. When you ball fake and get a guy in the air, make sure you get a foul. It was almost, a lot of times you think, okay, I'll get a little contact, I'll try to finish the play. They didn't blow the whistle. If you go all the way, once you've got him in the air, make sure you get the foul. Just go into that body, you get the free throws. Don't worry about finishing the play.
No finish in the paint that time from Keon Ellis. It's an Alabama team that lives by the 3 and the layup. And when we talked with Nate Oates today, he said we got to do a better job finishing in the paint. We've gotten away from that along with our sense of urgency on the defensive end.
Yeah, he feels, and you watch them, they have not been as good off the dribble, their quickness at penetrating. And that gets guys open. And defensively right now they're getting carved up by this South Carolina team. Great pass.
South Carolina's made 7 of its first 10 attempts from the floor. Petty shares it to Herbert Jones. Did not practice this week. And he goes down. It might be slow coming back up. We got a jump ball. Herbert Jones spent time with head athletic trainer Clark Holzer trying to rehab that back. Spent more time in the pool than on the court back in Tuscaloosa.
Well, we talked about South Carolina not being necessarily that big and physical around the rim against certain teams like Mississippi State. But if they spread it out, if they cut hard, and Frank Martin said today, hey, there's some games we're just not making the hard cuts. That was a terrific cut by Lawson. Got the pass and made an easy bucket.
All alone on the baseline out of bounds. Alex Reese with the jam. Slow start for the Tide, just 3 of 11 from the floor. If you're a South Carolina fan and you're looking for good news to the start, as Keyshawn Bryant walks with it, he's going to ruin my message. But you've got a good lead at home against Alabama. Keyshawn Bryant, who gives you 14 a game, hasn't scored yet. You made a comment to Frank Martin during our conversation today, which I really appreciated. When South Carolina's playing well, and I know that's a qualifier, but this is a really good South Carolina team that has had some bad games.
Yeah, I actually picked them to be top 4 in this league. Now, they had a ton of COVID issues. We know that. They've only played 12 games, and they have 7 games left. I mean, they have nearly 40% of their schedule left. That's what's amazing. This probably, of any team, this is a team that's had to fight COVID worse than any and has not been able to play or practice. But when they play well, They're dynamic with their guards. They can score. We know they can defend. And the thing is consistency. It's about every other game. Well, if you look at this game, last game they weren't good. The game before they were really good. You would expect tonight South Carolina to be good, and so far they have been.
Petty with the drive for his first points of the night. Here's Lawson. Deep three. Way off the mark. Ooh. Petty throwing a baseball pass up ahead. Alabama trying to push it. One of the fastest tempos in the country. They're top 10 in tempo. And they are 2 in average possession length. 14.2 seconds per possession. The national average is 3 seconds slower. Corner 3 good from Keon Ellis.
Yeah, good ball rotation by Reese. One more pass. Give it one more rotation. And a wide open 3, and that's what Bama has been doing most of the season. It's unselfish basketball, kicking it to each other and making open shots. Here's where you go. Here's where Ellis could shoot that one, but one more pass. Wide open. Ellis has his feet set. Looks a little more like the Alabama team.
Great talk with Nate Oates before the LSU game, and he's a student of the game as much as anything, and he brought up a lesson that he learned from Greg Popovich. One of his trends is that you've got a half a second to do something with the ball when you get it. So we don't need to worry about triple threat position. Just catch it ready to shoot. And if you put it on the ground or if you drive, that's fine too. But if you hold it or you try to set something up, you give the defense a chance to get set. And that's what they thrive on.
Yeah, often if you go to an Alabama game and sit close or listen to Nate Oates, he's going to say drive it all the time. Drive it, drive it, drive it. They want to be aggressive. They want to attack and be in an attacking mode. And if they're not, let's just be honest, and they weren't against Oklahoma, they weren't against Missouri the first half, they're a nice team, but they're not a great team if they're not attacking. They're just a nice team. And those 2 games, Tom, they played 2 NCAA quality teams that know how to defend. And if you take a half step off, they're not as good.
Blocked from behind that time by Jalen McCreary. The loose ball, Reese had it for a moment, and then it's across the sideline right in front of Frank Martin and out of bounds for Alabama.
You like the aggressiveness, but anytime you play a Frank Martin team, and I don't care if it's the old defense that's aggressive or the new one, you must find out and realize as a ball handler where the help is coming from. And that time Quinterly, or it might have been Shackelford, put it on the floor. He's got a guy wide open in the corner. Make the extra pass.
3 ball good. Josh Primo's got a couple of long ones. Looks like he's at least looking for a shot, and he's knocked a couple down.
Yeah, he's got a great stroke, and when he gets confidence going, he is as good as any, just wide open making jump shots.
South Carolina gets it inside, and McCreary gets his first bucket. Drive attempt will lead to another South Carolina foul. That'll be on T.J. Moss. We've got a 3-point game. Up and down affair. 11th ranked Alabama trying to end a 2-game road losing streak. And after South Carolina got off to a great start, Bama's threes are now starting to fall. Well, the weather in the South is actually pretty nice here, John, much to your chagrin in the Midwest. But a couple of these shooters on the floor, they're used to getting it up in cold weather. South Carolina with a 3-point lead here. We've already seen Josh Primo, the freshman from Toronto, Ontario, out of Royal Crown Academic, knock down a couple of threes in this one. And on the South Carolina side, A.J. Lawson from Mississauga, just outside of Toronto, not just from Canada, but he's also represented Canada in international competition. And there's been, as you might guess, some SEC flair. 2018 FIBA Under-18 Team Canada, number 10 on the left in the second row. That's A.J. Lawson. He was also with Andrew Nembhard, now coming off the bench for Gonzaga, formerly at Florida. And Texas A&M's Emmanuel Miller. It seemed like when Anthony Bennett went number 1 in the draft overall out of UNLV and Andrew Wiggins went the Kansas route, all of a sudden people started looking north of the border for players more often, and they found a lot of talent in the Toronto area.
International game it is, and so you get 1 player and 2 players and more start coming. And that is a high-quality group of players that you showed, and here's two in this game, both high-octane offensive players. You know, Lawson probably doesn't get his due. Everybody questions how good he is or not, but he averages nearly 19 a game in SEC play. First 2 years, averaged 13 and a half a game, freshman and sophomore seasons. Josh Primo, we've seen what he can do, and he's capable of doing. Great outside shooter. Nate Oates said now he's got to be able to put it on the floor, be able to score off the dribble a little bit more because the scouting reports on him when you get into SEC play. Outstanding players.
UPlay is one of the key amateur basketball programs north of the border. It's led by Dwayne Washington, and there's an Alabama connection to that. There's another three from Primo right on cue. Dwayne Washington was Alabama assistant Brian Hodgkin's coach his freshman year of high school up in the Buffalo area, and now he's leading that crew, and they were able to convince Primo to reclassify and come join Alabama, come stateside as Keyshawn Bryant hits a jumper. There's a drive and a kick. The closeout is the key for Alabama's offense. If they can get you to help, somebody's going to end up open, and they end up getting it inside.
Yeah, terrific pass. Good help defense, but you can't let them pass it inside through the lane for an easy bucket. Good contest so far. Tom, both teams playing well on both ends of the floor. Ball is moving, shooting high percentage shots. Not too many turnovers at this pace they're playing. South Carolina's got 3, and Alabama has 4.
Bama's made each of its last 3 attempts. Ellis intercepted, taken away by South Carolina. TJ Moss will push. Trey Hannibal will reset for South Carolina. They run at a very similar tempo to Alabama, 2 of the quickest teams in the SEC in terms of time of possession.
Yeah, from a consistency standpoint, they do not have the outside shooters game to game. Sometimes it's hit or miss on different guys. Lawson is the most consistent of the outsiders that shoot in the basketball. But that would be the biggest difference between these two clubs, especially in the offensive end.
Keon Ellis picks up the foul. Lawson on the bench for now with 5 points. Wildens Levesque is their team leader. He's got 8, most of those early after he took a seat, the sophomore from Brockton, Mass. Has already eclipsed his season average.
Yeah, Levesque has been pretty solid this season. Not known to be a scorer. Hasn't had to score a lot of points. Averages under 6 a game, but he's on the rebounding end. He gives quality minutes, about 20 minutes a game. Big, physical. He's had a couple ball games in the double-digit rebounding, over 10. Frank likes his work ethic, thinks he likes his aggressiveness and toughness.
Trying to make up for the loss inside of Mike Kochsar, who was a productive player for him on both ends last year and for the previous 4 years. Petty lost it. Moss nearly gave it right back. Hannibal out to Moss. You mentioned it, South Carolina's not a great three-point shooting team. They're not a good jump shot team. Their offensive identity comes around the basket, not on post-ups, but just like getting guards into the paint.
Yeah, and what's tough is when you have guys that are pretty good off the dribble, like they do, and they make good moves, and then they kick it out for an open shot, and you don't make those shots. And so what defenses do is they pack it back a little bit. They're going to entice you to shoot the 3 ball more than normal. Another turnover.
Active hands by Bryant. Going against Petty in the paint. Couldn't get it to the rim. Bama will try to push it. Here's Jaden Shackelford. Off the window and in. First bucket for Shackelford, and Bama's tied it.
Shackelford's got great skills with the ball, shoots it well, but that's a tough bucket. He was one-on-1. It turned in almost 1-on-3. Good hustle back by the Gamecocks, but Shackelford still finished it.
They tried to go inside to Levesque from a bad angle. Another chance for Bama to run. 3-on-1. Shackelford again.
You know, Nate Oates today, Tom, talked about, we've been solid defensively. And if we can keep doing that, being active with our hands, it allows us to get out and run, and we've seen that the last 2 possessions.
TJ Moss used every bit of the rim.
The quiet one so far on the Alabama side is John Petty. He's taken 1 shot, made the shot. It was a 2. When we asked Nate Oates today, who could step up? Who do you need to step up to get you back into your gaining your edge? And he said, John Petty's an influencer. He's a big figure on our club, and we need him to get back to where he was a few weeks ago when he was Player of the Week in this nation.
Rojas with the foul. There's a look at Petty, who's the all-time school record holder with 283 career threes. He's already 20 past the previous mark and is the most effective shooter in the SEC in conference play. 66% his effective field goal percentage if you figure in the value of 3s versus 2s.
Yeah, and a lot of teams are trying to take Petty out, meaning take him out of the offensive end. They're getting after him. Good cut, good back pick by Petty to free up Ellis inside, or Reese inside.
So Reese has a couple buckets. Bama by 2. Alabama trailed at one point by 11. It was at that point that Juwan Gary left the game due to a shoulder injury. Here's Lawson. Chance for Bama to push again. Reese transition 3. And Bama couldn't squeeze the offensive rebound.
I think one of the toughest shots in basketball is when you're running straight ahead. They throw it to you to trail it. You've got to almost gather yourself. Probably better to take a bounce, maybe stop a little bit. Hard to make it on the move straight away.
Reese only 25% from 3 on the season. Here's Petty with a bump in the paint and put up almost an air ball with a hook shot. Reese finds it. And then Herbert Jones gives it away. A little sloppy ball handling for Alabama. That's their 8th turnover already.
Couple turnovers by Jones, really just being soft for the basketball. You saw how quickly Lawson got to Petty when Petty caught the basketball. They want Petty to put it on the floor, do something different besides spotting up and shooting his high arching 3.
Minaya into the paint. High percentage look. Quick one. Off the mark. That's the kind of shot Nate Oates likes. He wants them to get it off quick.
Yeah, and the kind of shot layups. The kind of shot Frank Martin doesn't like, and the reason is these guys weren't around him. He couldn't believe they made a bucket on one end and no one got back defensively. Ellis had a wide open look.
No whistle, on the Lawson drive. Hannibal finds it. South Carolina, great offensive rebounding team. They get 35% of their own misses, 21st in the country, but they gift that one. Here's Herbert Jones. No numbers. No problem. Shackelford will tee it up. Oh, follow jam by Petty. Clean up, aisle 3.
You wanted a response from Petty? He gave you one. Different than what we're used to.
Alabama bench on their feet, looking for some momentum, and A.J. Lawson steals that momentum right back.
Lawson can shoot it, Tom. Here's the thing I'm going to question about A.J. Lawson at times. I think this year, and obviously he's a better player than he's ever been, he's settled into just being a jump shooter. And most of his shots are just jump shots. You'd like to see him put it on the floor, get to the foul line, become an overall scorer.
They get Lawson for the trip. That's his first. Sonny, this one's getting fun. Take it, my friend.
Well, John Petty, we think he's outside. No. Up high, down hard. Bama hanging tough in Columbia.
Well, Alabama got to Two-Notch Road, turned around, came back into town. After starting 2 for 10, they've made 10 of their last 19. For South Carolina, that summary, everything coming in the paint, 14 of their 29. It's an Alabama team, John, that some people sleep on their defense, but it's key to their offense.
Yeah, it's a key to the offense, and it has been this first half. They started slowly on the offensive end. Defensively, they picked it up. Active hands, active feet. They rotate, they talk, and if they do, they get out and run. And if you don't get back, that's how they put big numbers on the board. Everybody just talks about them offensively. The consistent part of them has been on the defensive end. Some nights the jump shots won't go, but they've hung in some of these ball games just by their defense until that offense gets scored.
Number 2 in defensive efficiency in the entire country, according to Ken Pomeroy, 86.7 per 100. Tough to get much better than that. And what an improvement, John, from what this team had been over the previous years, especially when Nate Oates came to Tuscaloosa and introduced his up-tempo style.
Yeah, a year ago they were 16 and 15 in year one and dealt with a lot of injuries. They had Kyra Lewis, obviously, with the lottery pick. But the transformation that everybody looked at was only on offense. But what we could see, game in, game out, was defensively they were different. And it is pretty obvious if you're going to play for Nate Oates, sure, you like the up-tempo, and sure, you like to be able to spot up, make jump shots, or take guys off the dribble. But you better defend on the defensive end. And if you do, he's going to play you, and they're going to get out and run. And it's entertaining basketball not only to watch, but as a player to play.
South Carolina using the clock here. It'll get into single digits. Here's McCreary. Shares it. Bryant. And one. Darius Miles picks up the foul.
Well, what a terrific pass, and the problem is the fact that Miles had his hands down, to his waist. If he has them lifted a little bit, I think he tips that ball out of there. Good pass, good finish. We know Bryant can do that, play around the rim.
So free throw coming for the junior from Winter Haven, Florida, by way of Huntington Prep. He's put together some impressive offensive numbers in conference play. By the way, this update from Alabama Sports Information Director Aaron Jordan. Jawan Gary out with a shoulder injury, not likely to return. And a foul on the South Carolina end.
Yeah, and losing Gary, that's a big blow. A solid player. Just another body that Nate Oates needs at 6'6", about 220 pounds.
So here's Alex Reese at the free throw line. Senior from Pelham, Alabama. Coming off of a very unproductive game against Missouri. Just 1 of 7 from the floor in 17 minutes. Finished under his season average.
And Tom, when you do that, you change your hair coloring. You get a little different look against the Mizzou Tigers. And you go 1 of 7, you change some things up. He's been in the starting lineup since Jordan Bruner's been out. This will be 8 games in a row as a starter. He's had some big games. He's had some solid games. They rely on him on the defensive end. He's a terrific passer of the basketball. Spots up, shoots the threes well.
Bryant behind the back. Yeah, Reese went back to his natural look. Blocked from behind by Petty. Good to be an influencer. Petty had a jam, now a block. He's playing above the rim. We got a 1-point game in Soda City.
Good evening to you. Shooter Pat Bradley going to be with me at the half in just a few minutes. We'll take a dive into Alabama. Take a look at their bracketology, potential scenarios there. Also Kentucky underway at home against the Razorbacks. And we will let Shooter break down the first half of what we are seeing with you guys in Columbia. See you in a few. Kentucky underway at home against the Razorbacks. And we will let Shooter
tonight, though, going with the tie. Great look on you. Yeah, here is that bracketology that you guys are going to talk about at the half. For Alabama, they're currently a 2 seed, and here's the key. They are the last 2 seed, according to Joe Lunardi. So not only, Sonny, do they have some work to do to climb a little bit, but also if you remain that last 2 seed, you end up across from Gonzaga. Now, it's going to be deep in the tournament, and that would be a good sign. Can Nate Oates' team have success in the NCAA tournament? Can they be a team that gets deep?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think they've got to get back to playing how we saw them play a few weeks ago, and you take these you take a look at all these teams here. A chance. You take a look at the number 1 seeds, the number 2 seeds, and there's Alabama. But let me ask you this, Tom. Would you take that number 2 seed right there in the Elite 8 game against Gonzaga to go to the Final Four? You'd take that. Right now, you'd say, yeah, roll the dice. You get 1 game against Gonzaga, and you're already in the Elite 8. I'd take that. Now, there's a lot of basketball left. About a week and a half ago, I kept listening to guys talking about this league could be over and this league's over. There's 7 games left in this league, plus maybe a makeup game or 2. We don't know how that will transpire, but there is a lot of basketball. And could you win 7 in a row, 6, 7 in a row? If Alabama can, they'll probably be a 1 seed because those teams in front of them, there's going to be some losses.
You bring up a good point with the makeup games. There is room on the back end of the schedule, the final weekend in regular season play, if the rest of the calendar stays as planned. Do you see value in making up games that final Saturday?
Well, I would say this. If a team needs it for a resume, or if someone needs it, if they're a half game out of first, if it's up to the conference championship, yes. If not, I think a lot of teams probably need a few days to rest. I mean, that's just the key. It's been a long year for these players. It's not over yet, and if you could have a few extra days before the SEC tournament, I think it'd be great for the players and the coaches.
There's some teams in some leagues that are just going gangbusters when it comes to trying to get their games in. The Big 12 has added a lot of Thursday games. Have you seen SIU Edwardsville, their schedule?
No, I have not.
They're playing like every other day for a week or 2 straight. Javon Quinterly drills the 3.
So the question would be, Tom, if you were a player, would you rather play or practice?
Everybody would rather play versus
exactly
practice, right? It's a no-brainer.
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right.
Couisnard off the mark. We got a foul inside. Yeah, here's the last out of bounds play.
How about this one? You don't even have to call anything to get that shot. You just throw it in and you shoot it. Frank Martin's got to be shaking his head defensively.
So SIU Edwardsville, by the way, just of note, they just played Eastern Kentucky. They get Tennessee Tech Thursday. They'll play the 11th, 13th, 15th, 18th, 20th, 22nd, 25th, and 27th to close out their regular season. Thanks for coming. Pardon me, just to close out the month of February.
Yeah, we have not seen anything in the SEC about whether games will be made up that were postponed. I'm sure they'll try. They've got that open. There's an open week, but you don't want to be playing Friday and Sunday prior to the SEC tournament, I don't think. They could add a lot of games on that Saturday, which would be March 6th. I think that would be open.
Now remember,
if you finish on the Tuesday. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to the tournament in Nashville, there will only be 1 game on that Wednesday night instead of 2 because Auburn has taken themselves out of postseason consideration. Keyshawn Bryant's got 6. So only 2 games will have to play that first night. 4 teams will get a bye to Friday. That's if the tournament schedule stays as written. And what did we learn from Greg Sankey? If you're writing things down, you might as well do it in pencil. We got a reach in and a foul against South Carolina, much to the home fans' dismay. SEC Men's Tournament starting March 10th right here on the SEC Network as part of Champ Week across the ESPN family of networks.
Those shoulders by Couisnard looks like a middle linebacker. He didn't feel anything when he reached in to steal that basketball.
Couisnard had the big shot last year to knock off Kentucky at the buzzer. Kentucky in action tonight against Arkansas at Rupp.
You know, Couisnard's only a sophomore, but that freshman year, that last 16 games that he started, you mentioned the buzzer beater against Kentucky, averaged 12 points. He has played well. He just has not shot the ball well. I mean, he is below 30% from the field and the three-point line and around 52% from the free throw line. Just shocking when you think about what he did last season.
Well, in addition to that, as a point guard, he's not doing a great job taking care of the ball. He had more turnovers than assists in their loss to Mississippi State, along with the 1-for-8 shooting rate. There's an offensive foul on James Rojas.
But Couisnard will give you that, and he's got a coach that likes him, which is always good because you'll play him, and he's tough. I think they've got a point guard for this year and the next 2 years in Couisnard. I think he'll get his shot better and work on that. He
Chicago,
has
Indiana?
Yeah, he has the toughness that Frank Martin demands and requires as a lead guard for Frank's teams. He needs a guy out there that can demand respect, command respect, and handle sometimes the coaching staff on the sideline.
Herbert Jones gets it rejected. That's the second time Jones has had a shot blocked in this game. That was a great defensive play, but I think he's missing some lift with that back injury.
Yeah, I do too, and but give Minaya credit. He chased the play. Herb up kind of soft with that bad back, and Justin Minaya, solid start this first half. Here's where Petty shines right here.
Off the baseline, out of bounds, he's got 9. If there's any question to the importance of this game, it could be answered by Herbert Jones playing extensive minutes in this half. We asked Nate Oates today, what's the plan with your senior leader in terms of getting him rest versus playing him? And Nate was to the point. He said, this is a game we got to have. We're playing for a conference title, and that lead is shrunk. Jones turns it over. Here's Bryant around Petty. And got a foul from behind, and that's on Herbert Jones, his second.
You take a look at these.
Score 12 points a game here his senior season.
Yeah, you take a look at his offensive numbers and what he's done the last 3 games, and he struggled with that bad back. And what Nate Oates said today is we're playing for a conference championship, and I'm glad he said it. A lot of people think, well, you play for the NCAA. You know what? You play to hang a banner. I'll just be honest. And the first banner you can get is your conference championship. Then you move on to the SEC tournament, and then you move on to the NCAA. But they have a 3-game lead. You lose a game on the road to Missouri. They've not won an SEC title since 2002. This team has a chance to do something that very few have done in Alabama uniform. And when you come back, you want to show your kids or your grandkids a banner that's up there that says you won a championship. Not that you finished third, because it won't be up there.
Right. Here's Petty for 3. Quick trigger. Manaya's having a monster game. Couple of block shots and another board.
I like the shot not only because Petty hit the one before, but you get a 2-for-1. Quick shot up. They'll get the ball back no matter what South Carolina does here.
Couisnard. Physical to Minaya. Rebound Reese. A foul in transition will go on Jermaine Couisnard, his first.
Yeah, that's a tough decision. You get a rebound and you're pushing, you're thinking we'll take one shot. There's 2 or 3 defenders back. And Primo's got to make the decision, do I attack them or do I just take it out and we go for the last shot? But he was good off the dribble, saw what was back there. Needs to step up and make this second free throw.
You got a timeout before the second free throw with 16 seconds left in this first half. Alabama shooting just 39% from the floor in the half. And 6 of 15 for 3. South Carolina got up to a great start in this thing. Had a 16-5 lead. Juwan Gary left the game for Alabama due to a shoulder injury, and Wildens Levesque was having his way inside. Levesque is already at double figures. Pardon me, I got him at 8, just shy of double figures, but having a great first half.
Tom, I was digging around the notes today, and you start looking at statistics on teams, what jumps out. And when I looked at South Carolina, I was looking at field goal percentage and free throw percentage. And when I write down things on players, I was noticing not many free throws attempted by their guys. And I always think of a Frank Martin team, they shoot more free throws than the opponent. They have taken 40 less free throw attempts in SEC play than their opponents. And I mean, it's almost amazing, but that says they're not a team that attacks at the rim, even though they've got those strong physical guards. They'll drive, they'll kick. They're not taking it to the rim. And when you play certain teams in this league and you go up against teams that get to the foul line, it puts a lot of pressure on your team to try to win a game if you're not shooting many free throws.
Primo hits a second. He had South Carolina, just raw numbers, -6 points a game at the free throw line. 10 seconds left in the half. Kusnard guarded by Shackelford.
And here comes Lawson off the double.
He's at the top. Instead, they go Minaya in the corner with 2 off the mark, and that's how the half will come to an end. Alabama has erased an 11-point deficit, and the Crimson Tide able to climb back in this thing. 34 of 39 have come either in the paint or from the free throw line. The other 5 from the free throw line. It's all going to plan for Nate Oates. All going to plan for Dari, looking sharp tonight. Let's take it back to the studio.
Oh, Tommy, you're too kind.
Getting ready for the second half from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. 11th ranked Alabama was down 11 at one point. They finished strong after South Carolina started the game on a 16-5 run. Balanced attack for Frank Martin's squad. They got 4 guys with 7 points plus. Meanwhile, Alabama without Jawan Gary. No post presence for them the rest of the night. Tom Hart, John Sunvold. You know, both of these teams love tempo. They like to go, but they're also defensive-minded.
Yeah, they get back defensively. They challenge and make it tough, but they will push the basketball, and that's really the best way both teams can score, if they can get you on your heels, get open shots. And we saw a little better version tonight of Alabama than we've seen the last few games. They either got it off the rim and went all the way to the rim, or they shared the basketball. And great to see Josh Primo shooting it from outside. He hit 3 threes after going scoreless against Missouri, not taking a shot. Petty finally got it started outside, underneath out of bounds. Frank Martin wasn't happy at halftime with that one. And then just for a little juice, Petty put the finishing touch.
All-State protection spotlight. Numbers break down like this: 18 from three-point lane, 5 from the free throw line. Alabama's 7 of 12 at the rim, and they are 6 of 15 from 3. And then a couple of mid-range shots inefficient there, and that's not what Nate Oates is looking for. Levesque got a good start to this game, goes at the rim to start the second half, got blocked by Reese, and a loose ball whistle will go against Alabama.
You know, interesting stat from the first half. Herb Jones, 0 for 5 from the field. We know he's been struggling. Here's good defensive play by Reese, and Levesque stays with it and then draws Petty in the contact. Good fake handoff by Levesque to turn the corner and get it to the rim.
The foul was on Petty. It's his second. Keep an eye on that the rest of the half. Seventh Woods had 2 in the first half, was aggressive early, then had to sit. 16-footer rattles home.
He's got a lot of confidence going. Off the bounce, he's shooting it well. As you mentioned, he had to sit most of that first half. But if his game is good, because he's good off the bounce, it frees up not only his game but his teammates. South Carolina only 3 of 14 from beyond the three-point line tonight.
3 ball goes for Reese. He's got 9.
And when Reese does that, Tom, who will step out for South Carolina to pick him up? I don't think they can. Levesque's not going to go outside and get him. Reese is going to have some freedom, and if they start switching their defenses, other guys will be open.
Wow. Anaya down the lane.
That'll put a smile on anybody's face. He's had a couple tonight.
A couple big dunks, a couple big blocks for Justin Minaya, the New Jersey native. One of the veteran presence is on this Frank Martin team. Shackelford able to pick it up going down the lane. They call it a shooting foul. Be it on.
You always wonder how this can happen against your half-court defense. No matter who you are, how does this happen that a guy comes right down the heart of it and there's nobody in his way?
On the other end, second personal on Levesque. Here's Shackelford at the free throw line. Shackelford just 34% from three. John, last year he was at 55 threes made in the conference, led the league.
Yeah, guarded a little bit better this year, but all freshmen, all SEC freshmen last year. Solid season. He may be as solid a year as anybody's been in the Alabama uniform. Shoots it well. Has guarded a little bit more effectively this year than last year by some, but he's been terrific when they've had to have buckets.
Lawson on one end, Reese on the other. Loose ball to Herbert Jones. And then Petty took his eye off of it and turned it over. Thirteenth turnover for Bama.
Yeah, too many turnovers for this Alabama team. If you're a good offensive team, you got to keep getting your shots up. You turn it over, you get put yourself on defense too many times.
Woods begging for it in the corner. Manai gets it the other way. Here's TJ Moss. Alabama basketball leading by one. The 11th ranked team in the country trying to snap a two-game road losing streak. Losing at Oklahoma and on the road at Missouri last weekend.
Well, two of the better teams in the country. You're going to go on the road and play those type teams. Two tough teams, hard to beat. Good steal.
Woods can fly, and he somehow muscles it up without a whistle.
Well, how about his confidence, Tom, how he's playing?
I don't know if he's played like this in 4 years.
Yeah, he's been great the last three ball games.
Columbia native at the Hammond School. He was dunking all over everybody. And then went to play for Roy Williams at North Carolina. Had to deal with injuries before he got to Chapel Hill. Played on a national championship team, but didn't seem to reach his potential. Illegal screen. If that's Levesque, it's his third. It is, and it is.
Well, here's seventh Woods, and you talked about, where he's been and how he's gotten there. Now redshirt senior. But it all seems to be coming together for him. The last three games averaging over 11 points a ball game, 60% from the field. Has been aggressive attacking when he can. Frank Martin just told us today that he's just got a swagger to him now, and he's confident about what he's feeling. I mean, this is his last stretch as a collegiate athlete to play games.
Played in 94 games at North Carolina, national championship 2017. After being two-time Mr. Basketball in the state of South Carolina. Petty trying to get deep. Get two in the air to roll over the rim and go. Three-point opportunity for John Petty.
So if you're going to guard a shooter's got to be able to put it on the floor. And Petty is not a small guy. He's big enough and strong enough to take guys inside at 6'5". And now he's got Lawson on his back and good pump fake, contact, and goes to the free throw line. And this is what this Alabama team needs out of John Petty. They need him to be aggressive. He doesn't have to force bad shots. But if he's aggressive offensively, he attracts attention.
Perfect at the free throw line. He's got a dozen tonight. Bama by a deuce. Manaya drive. Rebounded by Rojas, lost out of bounds. It will be Alabama basketball.
You cannot get much better than what South Carolina got there. Manaya attacked Herbert Jones and took him right off the dribble. Got the easy look. Not easy, but a relatively easy look. Chance for an offensive rebound, and they knocked it out of bounds.
Petty will pull. Got it!
That's a tough shot. Well defended. Hand in the face. He is a high arching shooter. That ball goes way up in the air.
Woods the answer. John Petty's shooting 49% from three in conference play. Herbert Jones can't finish. Woods has it again. Smaller lineup for South Carolina with Levesque on the bench in foul trouble. Reverse short. And lost by Rojas. It'll be Gamecocks basketball. John Petty doing a little bit of everything, Sonny.
Well, Petty's been good, and he needs to be good. Inside, he gets strong, gets fouled, but what we are used to seeing with John Petty is giving you something from the outside with a hand in his face. Money.
Here we go.
Champ Week starts March 3rd. Our tournament March 10th in Nashville. We'll see you there on that Wednesday night. Getting ready for Champ Week and big expectations for Alabama. Let's break down the top 3 teams in the SEC when it comes to the tournament resumes. Missouri is better liked by the voters, the pollsters, and the computers, 25th in the net, but top 10 in the country according to the AP poll. Alabama has a very impressive resume. And Tennessee's still hanging around, Sonny. They got the best net in the league, a strength of record of 17, 4 quad 1 wins, and Lenardi's got them as a 4 seed.
I thought Tennessee's second half against Kentucky, maybe that gets them out of their funk on the offensive end. They have been stagnant, slow offensively, still good defensively. And when you think of the Missouri team, I don't know if anybody's playing better in this league, obviously when they beat Alabama. But they've been very good for the last couple of weeks, been good all season long, and we know what this Alabama team can do. That's 3 strong teams, 3 strong resumes. And I think if they continue to play as well as they have, they'll all get a chance either to A, to win this league, B, to win the SEC tournament, or 3, to get a high seed and go far in the NCAA.
Different strengths all the way around. South Carolina turns it over on the baseline out of bounds. Another turnover for Kusnard. Alabama trying to return the favor. They do, and then 7th Woods steps over the line trying to save it. Daytona 500 coming up next weekend. Rubbin's racing in Columbia tonight.
That's a stretch of bad basketball, partner. 1 turnover, and then Ellis just simply jumped up, threw it away. The save, and I wasn't sure. I think it was Minaya tried to save it, and his teammate, 7th Woods, was out of bounds.
Kusnard goes through the screen. That's his second personal.
I love
Oddly
the set
enough,
play.
that's a play that Frank Martin may not mind with Kusnard picking up the foul. Remember, we were talking to him today, and he goes, I got guys coming to the bench for the first time saying, I couldn't get to the guy. I was screened. He goes, no, my guys don't worry about screens. They run right through them.
And he did. They set a double screen for Petty to come off, and Kusnard just went right through Reese.
Frank with
the
new
good.
look.
We talked to, it was good. We talked to Frank Martin today, and there's Kusnard trying to go through the double. That was Rojas. But it's good. We visited with Frank Martin today. He was on the treadmill. He looks good. He's feeling better. He's had COVID twice. And his health looks better. He looks like he's got a little more color to him than he's had in the past few weeks that we've seen him. And, Tom, I'll be honest, it's the first Zoom I've done where the coach just stayed on the treadmill. He kept going.
Did that motivate you to get on the treadmill?
Well, it did. I didn't follow through with it, but I felt good. I thought I got a little workout through him in.
Yeah. See if it could rub off. His hair started falling out. I think it was the first bout with COVID. And so he had some clumps falling out. He said, well, let's just clean this thing up. Take it all the way across. Either that or he was just jealous of Andy Kennedy's look and wanted to match him. Officials went to the monitor a moment ago to just make sure it wasn't a shooting foul.
So 2nd play in a row that they've run for Petty. Nate Oates said after the Missouri game, we need to get Petty more involved because teams are taking away what he does well. And he's the senior leader, guy that can score it and can get hot in streaks. And when he does, Alabama's difficult to beat. So far this second half, you can just see what Alabama's trying to do is get Petty on a little bit of a run.
Kusnard, who's been guarding Petty. Now it's Moss on him. Picked up his third. There's Petty inside. 17 now.
I think Alabama on underneath out of bounds, they've had 2 easy threes they've made. They've had 2 layups underneath they've made. I'm not sure what South Carolina's doing from the underneath out of bounds, but it's not working. They haven't guarded the rim and they haven't guarded the three-point shot. Take a look at this. Everybody, that's lack of communication, right? Nobody's talking. Bounce pass, layup. That'll make a coach lose his hair, Tom, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's been a restructuring of the defensive assignments for South Carolina over the last couple of weeks. Frank Martin's played more zone than normal, about 15% of their defensive possessions. Just Minaya at the free throw line. Instead of overplaying, especially in the gaps and picking up at midcourt even further, he said, no, we want our guys picking up about the NBA three-point line. Sag back, help your teammate, just like that.
Yeah, very similar to how a lot of teams play it. Frank had always been such an over-aggressive defensive coach. That time Quinterly right down the middle, laid it in, and that's good for Alabama to see that. They need Quinterly to be better off the dribble.
South Carolina looking for some offense. Bryant and Minaya comes out of there but gets fouled by Quinterly, his first.
So Quinterly was terrific early in the season, and he was beating guys off the dribble, and he was getting to the lane, and he was finishing. In the last couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks, he has not finished well when he's gotten it inside. But in the end of the Missouri game, the last 5 minutes, I thought Quinterly maybe got his game going. He finished some plays, got to the rim, made some shots.
South Carolina turns it over.
Good hands by Ellis, stepping in defensively. I think the key offensively, Tom, when you're playing against a team that's going to help, make the pass right before the guy gets there, because then his body's coming one way defensively. You've got him leaning, and so his guy, make the defense start to rotate. Don't get caught in that dribble to a double team.
An air ball from Quinterly, who you just talked about. Still shooting at a high percentage in conference play, but only 1 make from 3 in this one. 40% from deep for Alabama. They came in right on that number in conference play. Helps explain a couple of their non-conference losses. Their only quad 3 loss came at home to Western Kentucky. But only 1 SEC loss. Woods contested 2. Bryant there to clean it up.
Bryant will always be active around the rim, and you better put a body on him.
Woo. Wow, it's a high percentage look.
That didn't take long.
Minaya back the other way.
All right, partner, let's play. Here we go, back and forth. Quick shots, quick finishes.
Timeout taken by Nate Oates. His team getting some looks. They're 10 of 18 at the rim in this one, and 8 of 20 from 3. 3-point game. Okay. (56-53) Alabama with the lead. It was a tough weekend for a lot of us at ESPN that have worked and befriended Pedro Gomez over the years. He passed away on Super Bowl Sunday, a reporter that worked all sports, most notably in this regard, worked the first game between Latin head coaches in college basketball when he was on the sideline for USF in Orlando Antigua against Frank Martin and South Carolina. And it was fitting because a Miami native from Cuban heritage, he was great friends with Frank Martin. They got to know each other when Frank was just 17 years old, working in a bank. And while the bank was being built, they were working in a trailer. Pedro was 20 at the time, and Frank telling us the story today. He goes, man, our bosses hated us because we just sat across the table from each other and we just talked sports, whether it was the Detroit Tigers, Miami Dolphins, or whatever. And the bosses would come by and say, guys, could you please work and stop talking about sports? It broke everyone at ESPN's heart due to Pedro's death. Our thoughts and prayers with his family and, of course, with his dear friends, not just all of us, but especially Frank Martin. And he was understandably devastated by Pedro's passing.
Yeah, Frank said obviously it was very difficult. When a friend passes, they played baseball together, and he just said an unbelievable spirit, lived his life for his family. So, you know, our thoughts and prayers are with Pedro's family and really the whole community of Miami where he came from.
Yeah, he was. They played on the same softball team. Pedro was a shortstop, and Frank was the first baseman, and they would argue with each other all the time. Pedro would talk about what a great shortstop he was, and Frank would say, well, that was only because I'm tall enough to take in all of your errant throws.
And I would
Pedro,
think Pedro
just like
didn't,
Frank,
and
yeah,
Pedro
he could
didn't argue with him.
No, he didn't, but he could bust chops with the best of them.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine those conversations.
Yeah, great loss for everybody.
Bama leading by 3. This would be a signature win for South Carolina, a Gamecocks team that had an 11-point lead early on. Herbert Jones with the 3.
That is Herbert Jones' first bucket of the night. He's now 1 of 7 from the field, but the confidence of a senior when you need a big bucket, he's not afraid. He's not going to back down.
Bryant, not shy himself.
God, we have seen his game expand on the offensive end from a year ago to this season. As I said, the first half, nearly 18 points a ball game in SEC play. He's got a wide variety of shot. He's not a great outside three-point shooter, but you don't have to be. He can go off the dribble. He plays above the rim probably higher than anyone in this league. A wide variety of talent on the offensive end.
Rojas with his second foul. Trouble piling up for both sides. 11th ranked Alabama getting all it can handle on the road. Herbert Jones, the senior, with his first bucket of the night, and an answer on the other end from Keyshawn Bryant. Interesting one, getting late in Columbia.
Darinoka in studio. Let's update Arkansas and Kentucky. They have gone to the half. Devontae Davis to the basket. Arkansas shoots 44%. Kentucky just 31%. And the Razorbacks have a 1-point lead at the break. Sharif Cooper and Auburn, they get Vanderbilt, trying to beat Vandy for the 4th straight time. That hasn't happened since Charles Barkley was part of War Eagle as a player, guys.
All right, Dari, thanks. Yeah, Sharif Cooper have 14 assists this weekend in Auburn's last-second loss to Ole Miss. As good as Auburn has been with Cooper, John, they're still not stopping anybody. They're allowing 79 points a game, and that's a pretty good tonic for the second highest scoring duo in the league with Scottie Pippen Jr. and Dylan Disu for Vandy.
Yeah, Auburn is not guarding the rim very well, even though they block shots. But the reason guys get to the rim offensively is they don't contain the dribble very well. And I would say this, if you haven't seen Vanderbilt, stay tuned. And not only Scottie Pippen Jr. is terrific, but Dylan Disu is kind of emerging. I think he's going to be one of the stars in this league. He's terrific this year, but a year from now, second year, I mean, he's terrific.
Wow, woo. Another highlight reel jam for Keyshawn Bryant. He's got a baker's dozen.
You must put a body on Bryant.
South Carolina gets a stop. Here's Lawson. And we are tied on the A.J. Lawson drive.
Tom, I would like to see that more out of Lawson. Don't settle for that jump shot. Take it to the rim. You got a big body, size. You can jump over people. Here's the ability to finish off the glass. Again, he goes at about 6'6" and can score it. And Bryant, this is like a every game occurrence. High above the rim.
Shackelford gets it to go. Bama back by 2. Woods a scoring threat. And Minaya tipped it out of bounds. It'll be Alabama basketball with the lead.
I'm surprised Woods didn't spin his defender. He's gotten away a couple times with his spin. He has created space, tried to make a tough jump shot.
Quinterly to the rim.
Wow. Beautifully done. Tough shot.
Couple layups for Bama last 2 times down the floor.
Yeah, not easy. We've seen a lot of guards in this league make some tough shots at the rim.
Lawson. And Herbert Jones with the rebound. Jones looks like he's moving a little bit easier. Here's Reese. No, an offensive foul before that. Javon Quinterly's second personal.
Body control, understand where the defenders are. You might have to have a jump stop. May not be easy to jump stop, but you got to know where they're coming, especially when you play good defensive teams. The Frank Martin team's not going to give you an easy one. Last time down, Quinterly, that's a difficult make. As Alabama maintains his 4-point lead, and they've had some good stops on the defensive end.
Lawson's defender fell down. He goes to Levesque, who's back in the game playing with foul trouble. Levesque forces it and draws the whistle. Herbert Jones commits his third. Foul trouble has been an issue for Jones over the last couple of games. 8 personal fouls has limited him to just 38 minutes on the floor. Now, he's also been limited from a health perspective, but talk with Nate Oates about it today. He does believe there's some validity to the fact that with that back injury, he's not moving his feet as much. He's been prone to pick up more fouls lately.
You know, a lot of great defenders, Tom, have a because they're known as defenders, and they make steals. I think of Drew Smith at Missouri, one of the best defenders in the league. He'll be an all-defensive team, probably be an all-conference first team. He has a tendency to reach a few times. That's because they're good at it, right? But if you reach too many times, officials they may not know who you are. They're not looking at the number, and they call that whistle kind of quickly.
Saying reputation can protect you in that regard?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if you defenders are defenders, and they don't get steals just by sitting back.
Sloppy pass by Bryant, turned it over. Alabama chance to push. And then a step on the inline by Herbert Jones.
Well, Jones has had an interesting offensive game. He has not shot the ball well, 1 of 7. But he has 7 assists, so that means the ball's in his hands and he's moving it well. But he also has 4 turnovers. Sometimes he gets about 1 or 2 bounces further than what he should.
Lawson off the screen. Feed to Bryant. Back to Lawson inside. Or pardon me, that's Levesque. And he was challenged. I'll run out the other way, and Lawson will pick up the foul, his second. Wonder what Teddy Valentine and Nate Oates are talking about. Maybe that sport coat?
Yeah, probably. You might like that coat. I'm surprised he got to take the mask off. I'm sure the officials like the fact that the coaches are masked up. Because all official has to say is, Coach, you're mumbling. I can't understand. Let me go back the other way.
You just keep running.
I'm going back the other direction.
Josh Primo at the free throw line. He burst onto the scene last summer at NBA Without Borders event in Chicago. And Nate Oates and his staff love to see him get that exposure, but at the same time, they already had an in on Primo, and they already knew about him, had been recruiting him hard. That caused some nervous moments that others would discover him. Lawson for 3. 1 possession game.
Yeah, I think when you get on a guy early, whether he's a sophomore or freshman or junior, you'd like them not to play much anymore, right? You don't want anybody to see him.
Petty can't answer. Bryant the board. Yeah, hey, just lay low. Once you get to us, nobody will have a book on you, and we'll have a great year. Herbert Jones slow to get up after picking up the foul. That is his 4th, averaging 4 fouls a game over the last 3.
That's a tough call because that defensively you're sliding. Bryant made the contact, lowered the shoulder.
Those are some of the fouls, though, that I've seen him be more likely to pick up over the last few games. Injured his back a couple weeks ago. Here's Bryant.
That one's a tough one, and as a player, what you do, you ask the official, how would you have guarded? I mean, I always thought you asked the official, how would you have played that? Because all I'm doing is sliding down the lane. The guy barrels me over with the shoulder. Mm-hmm. And I always thought it was best to ask the official that question, then he could get it in his mind that, okay, I'll take a look at that next time. How are you playing?
Bryant goes 1 of 2. South Carolina down 1. 2 bigs out of the game for Alabama. We got a foul on the other end.
A lot of whistles right now.
It's his 3rd. Yeah,
a lot of whistles. This was a pace up and down, back and forth. Now with all the whistles, it's just a stop and start. Can you get a stop as a possession? Free throw lines are going to be huge down the stretch.
Alabama 70.6% as a team from the free throw line. Wow. Quinterly follows his miss. Tapped out, another opportunity for Alabama.
Boy, good play by
Petty
Rojas
to
keep
it
alive. Wow, that's a tough shot.
Woo. He was searching as soon as the ball hit his hands. He was going to get it off going one direction or another.
He can do that better than anybody in this league and as well as anybody in the country at high arcing over the defender.
And then a 7th Woods foul, his 4th, with 7:51. Not happy on the home court. Petty, little shimmy, goes right, back left, drops a 3, and it's Bama by 4. Alabama with a 4-point lead on the road at South Carolina. Crimson Tide with 10 second chance points, plus 10 on the second chance points. Alabama's turned it over 18 times tonight, but the secret to their success, John, has been John Petty.
Yeah, we asked Nate Oates today, can John Petty be the guy? Is he capable of leading your team? And he simply said, yeah, he's an influencer. We've got to have him step up. We've got to have him make plays, and he's made them tonight. Whether it's on the defensive end, offensively rebounding, and then what he does best is shoots it right in the defender's eye. He does not worry about where the defender is, and now with his teammate Herbert Jones with 4 fouls on the bench, Petty has stepped up 7-11 from the field. He's had 3 threes, 20 points, 6 rebounds.
When he's playing well and with a sense of urgency, he's as entertaining as a lawyer turning into a cat on a Zoom call. I could watch him all day. I watched that clip about 40 times this afternoon. I think I need a hobby.
As many Zoom calls as you've been on, I'm surprised we haven't seen that from you.
Yeah, we could work in the filter. Here's Petty again with a leg kick. Doors open for South Carolina. Here's Lawson. And that is off of Alabama. What is South Carolina's best and most efficient offensive weapon?
Say that again.
Carolina's most efficient offensive weapon. Who is it?
Well, it's Lawson coming off screens. If and this is an if he'll take it one more bounce and then make the defensive team guard it. Meaning if he's open, shoot a jump shot. But if Lawson takes it another bounce normally, then he's in the middle of that paint and he draws so much attention because he's gifted and he can score.
Kusnard turns it over. Here's Bama the other way. Shackelford. got slammed from behind. McCreary
Tom,
picks up his fourth.
2 straight possessions, 2 straight turnovers by the Gamecocks, and that is what has hurt them all season long. One of the things Frank Martin talked about with the press yesterday was there are stretches in games this year where they can't stop the bleeding. Whether it's missed shots, whether it's turnovers, or get a defensive stop. So instead of teams going on a 6-0 run, 8-0 run, they become a 15-0 run, 17-2 run. It happened in their loss to Liberty. It happened in their loss at Houston. They were leading Houston. And then last weekend, it was a 2-point game with Mississippi State. And then boom, boom, boom. And about 4 minutes later, Mississippi State's blown that thing open.
DJ Stewart ended that game with 29 points for Mississippi State. Shackelford hits them both. He's into double figures. Meanwhile, in the Florida game, the upset win, they closed that game on a 13-1 run. There's so many inconsistencies in every college basketball team this season, as you would expect, especially one that's been impacted as much as South Carolina has by COVID-19.
Yeah, they've never been in a rhythm, and when this kid gets in a rhythm, Lawson, it's a different team on the offensive end.
Great article in the Charleston Post and Courier today by Gene Sapikoff, veteran writer, talking about Frank Martin's future. And the headline says it all. Don't judge Frank Martin on an abnormal Gamecocks basketball season. Petty with the kick. Extra pass for Bama. 3-ball. Good. Alex Reese with his second 3.
That's what he does. They move the basketball, they find the open guys, and they knock in shots. And this Alabama team, even though the lead is not big, they look much more confident on the offensive end than they have the last couple ball games. Let them share the basketball. Quinterly steps into it. You know, if they can get Tom, if they can,
field goals.
If they can get their confidence back shooting the basketball, because they make a defensive team chase, because they have the ability to put it on the floor and get to the paint. And when they do that, they move the ball. Now, good defensive teams are going to guard them. They're going to be physical with them. They're going to try to keep them out of the paint. And South Carolina is a solid defensive team, but you're seeing a Nate Oates squad that this is kind of how they played a few weeks ago. They took it to people. They were more aggressive, played with confidence. Oklahoma took some of that confidence away. Missouri added to taking some of that away from them. But I think late in that second half against Missouri, they found a little something. They were down far enough, almost got back to win that game. They've been much better offensively tonight.
Bryant is able to pick up the foul on Rojas. It's his third. Interesting part of the conversation with Nate Oates today, where you guys were talking about how easy it is for a defense to take away a shooter. Take me inside that conversation and what Nate meant by that.
Well, you know, shooters want to catch it and shoot it. So if you get jersey to jersey, so when Petty catches a ball, they're going to just get right on him. They're going to make him put it on the floor. So what Nate is talking about is his guys, once they catch, they're going to have to maybe put it one dribble to clear a defender. Maybe it's 2 dribbles. Maybe it's all the way to the basket. And so when you take a freshman like Josh Primo, who did not get a shot off against Missouri and get stuck just standing, he's got to be able to get off that spot. Now, if he's wide open, you shoot it. But again, when you play in the same league against the same teams, they're going to have you well scouted. They're going to have to try to make you change what you want to do. And I think Nate Oates, he was talking about his young guy. And he was also saying to his senior John Petty, hey, they're going to guard you. You've got to be able to put it on the floor, get away from the defender, and then look for the shot.
Good play by Woods to pick up the charge on Quinterly. Bryant makes space. Finds Kusnard. And South Carolina, not known as a three-point shooting team, just 5 of 20 tonight. Rojas the board. Shackelford lost it, but it'll stay with Bama. Crimson Tide with a 7-point lead.
I'll tell you what, this is a fight underneath for an offensive rebound. Both teams aggressive. Alabama searching for a way to keep winning and stay on top of this league. They've come in here with a good fight to themselves. South Carolina coming off a disappointing second-half performance against Mississippi State. Aggressive themselves. It's going to be a great 5 minutes.
Petty straight ahead. Somebody left the door open.
Wow. There are misses that are shocking. And sometimes John Petty does that. He's done that for 4 years. That one just is either doesn't feel right, something doesn't have a hold of it. Very unusual for a good shooter to do that.
Gamecocks hanging in there. Here's Bryant. Minaya. He answers with his own air ball. Gamecocks have missed each of their last 2 corner threes. Woods picks up another charge. How about the idea that he's done it twice with 4 fouls in the last couple minutes?
He has read both ball handlers, and he's guessed that they'll go to Woods' left. He's guessed correctly. Most guys with 4 fouls probably don't try that, but 2 terrific plays. South Carolina is 5 of 21 beyond the three-point line. Should not settle for the jumpers.
Woods fading away. Got it.
I think, Tom, I'd keep it in Woods' hands. He's confident off the dribble. He's getting where he wants to go. And he's making the mid-range jump shot.
There's an answer from Quinterly. He's into double figures. Bama back up 8 now. Last 22 Alabama field goal attempts have been dunks, layups, or threes. It's exactly how Nate Oates wants to run his offense. Corner 3, they've missed 3 in a row. Answer by Kusnard with the offensive putback, his first bucket.
That's a physical dude right there. He's big, strong. Guy's got some shoulders. Hasn't shot it well again tonight. That's kind of been his thing for the season, but man, can he push underneath and get offensive rebound.
Foul's going to go against Keyshawn Bryant. It will lead to a break in the action. John, this is shaping up like a fun finish with 3.5 to go.
Well, we thought Quinterly might have found his offensive game at the end of the Missouri game, and he's continued it tonight. Shot the ball well, played well, and on the other end, South Carolina's going to fight you. They're going to battle you. Sometimes they'll throw you up in the stands. They're hanging. They're at home.
During OK in studio, we update Arkansas at Rupp Arena to face Kentucky. Razorbacks down 1. Connor Vanover, the 3, puts them up 2. Then Moses Moody, a 3 of his own, and now it's a 5-point lead. Still 5. The steal and the finish. Arkansas up 7. Tom, thanks for mentioning Lawyer and Cat on Zoom. I watched it. I can't stop laughing.
I figured you had some downtime. It was the highlight of my day. Alabama would have a huge highlight if they could end this 2-game road losing streak, get out of here with an 11-1 conference record. They've got a 2-game lead in the loss column against Missouri, and then a slew of teams right behind them with 4 losses each in conference. And as we are into the second half of conference play, really no telling how the rest of the schedule is going to play out.
Well, we all hope, obviously, as players and announcers and fans, that there's very few postponements. Let's hope they have a clean slate the next few weeks and we get to Nashville. And you know what, I don't know who will be the favorite, to be honest, in Nashville. All these teams, if you talk to coaches in this league, they know it's a great league. There isn't one coach or group of players that we've visited with that doesn't think they can beat anybody in the league. Mm-hmm. So when you get to have that tournament, it's going to set up for some great matchups.
Rojas with the free throw. Another one coming. Bama in the double bonus, as is South Carolina rest of the way.
14 of 16 tonight from the foul line for Alabama on the road. That's how you win.
Woods fouled by Herbert Jones, who was just fouled out of the game.
And there was the reach. Again, Woods has been so good off the dribble, but you've got to make him make a shot. Not a smart play by Herbert Jones. He takes himself out of this ball game. Now, Alabama's got some veterans leaders. Petty's played great. Quinterly's playing well. And they played well when he was on the sideline with his 4th personal foul. Tough night.
13 personal fouls over the last 3 games for Herbert Jones. As we mentioned, playing with a sore back. Hasn't practiced this week. Been doing more rehab work in the pool and then time on the court. So 7th Woods at the free throw line. Played locally at Hammond School, where he just dunked on everybody. He was a social media sensation. 2-time South Carolina Mr. Basketball. Won a state championship in 2015. Went up to Chapel Hill and came back to join Frank Martin's squad. And Frank mentioned today, he said, really won fair to 7th. He didn't get a good start to the season because of all the COVID interruptions and not being able to have our team on the floor. That seems like he's in a rhythm now. And playing with 4 fouls, he'll take a breather for probably not long. Quinterly. Penny having a monster night. He's got 20. Step back 3. Second air ball. All right, John, you were a great shooter in your day. Explain to me how this happens.
I don't know. Petty to me is a streaky shooter. He's not a great shooter. Great shooters don't miss them wide left or right unless you're fouled. So he's streaky, but when he dances with the ball out front and he steps back left, he's usually pretty good. Might hit the rim, but guy had 2 air balls. One not being guarded, that one challenged a little bit.
Costly turnover for South Carolina, down 7, under 3 to go.
Keep an eye on the offensive end at Jaden Shackelford. He's been quiet, but he's the guy off the bounce that can get you a bucket and get guys open because of his strength at driving the ball.
Tipped away by Lawson. Back to Rojas, working on Minaya. Not the first offensive weapon for Alabama, not the first choice. Lawson corner. Got it! South Carolina right there off the A.J. Lawson 3. He's got a game-high 21.
Might not have been the first choice on the Alabama end with Rojas, but South Carolina, yeah, they want A.J. Lawson to spot up, to catch, release. Terrific play by Couisnard. He gets all the way to the paint. Defense helps out, can't get back to the shooter in time. And when Lawson gets on a roll, he can fill it up. He's had some big ball games. Started the SEC play finally when they got to play. He had 30 against A&M, double figures 11 of his 12 games. Been over 20 points 6 different times. He's got a wide range on his jump shot, can take you off the dribble. So if his game is good down the stretch, we've seen Petty now take 2 air balls. That last possession, my guy Shackelford was in the right corner, never touched the ball, not part of the play. And I think Quinterly and Shackelford are the key guys down the stretch for this Alabama team.
The only thing that's gotten away in the way of more efficient offense for both of these teams, turnovers. Alabama's coughed it up 20 times. South Carolina's given it away 17 times. And, of course, a handful of whistles, the backdrop as well. 11 fouls for Alabama and 10 for South Carolina this half.
Pace of play may make you – pace of play may turn up your turnovers a bit, but they shouldn't, because neither of these teams are really pressing. And their half-court defense, they're not overplaying things, so there shouldn't be that many turnovers.
Frank Martin is the one that used the timeout. What's his message here with 2:24 to go? What is he trying to set up?
Well, again, defensively, they got to keep the ball in front of them, meaning don't get beat off the dribble. That's what the driving hard is what Alabama wants to do. They want to get that first guy past a guy. Now you're scrambling. So the message defensively is keep the ball in front of you. Don't reach, don't make anything. Make them make tough jump shots over the top. South Carolina's long enough defensively. Now they got a little 1-2-2 pressure, full court pressure, or half court. We'll see if they can force a turnover.
They play zone 15% of the time. They'll likely fall back into it here for the first time of the night. Quinterly trying to figure it out. It turns into man.
Stayed with
using
the man.
clock.
Yep, Quinterly's good off the dribble, struggling to get something going.
And he turned it over. South Carolina basketball after Frank Martin changed defenses on him.
You know, if the ball sticks, Tom, it's easy to defend. And if it sticks, all of a sudden the shot clock runs out. Point guards get frustrated, get in a hurry. Another turnover. 21 on the night.
Bama came in averaging less than 14 turnovers a game, and South Carolina gives it back on an offensive foul.
Weak side screen. They tried to get Lawson open, and I believe it was Keyshawn Bryant. Frank not happy about the call. Was away from the basketball. Tried to just free up Lawson as he came off to curl.
It was Bryant's second. South Carolina needs another stop. It's a two-score game. With Alabama up 4. Quinterly. Mismatch with Minaya. Will try to three on him. Rebound. Into South Carolina's hands. Kusnard has it. Here's Lawson for three. Glanced off the backboard, no good. Wide open attempt from deep. Early.
Hey, Tom, I'd have a question. Are there only 5 seconds left in this game? Because it's as though they have to score it as fast as they can. Be a little patient. Make a defensive team play.
Bryant with the two.
Boy, that's where he's gotten so much better from a year ago. He can go off the bounce in the mid-range game. Good jump shot, 2 points, 1 possession.
6-0 South Carolina run has made it a 2-point game. And now you wonder, with this Alabama timeout, if South Carolina is going to mix it up again. Here's Bryant.
Yeah, good off the dribble. And I go back to what I was saying. You always have to know the time and the score. I mean, that's the 2 things you want to know in the game. And 2 quick possessions that Alabama just took the first shot they saw. And, Lawson did the same thing on the other end. That was a challenge. He shot it off the corner of the backboard. But again, you're within 2. Last time down, it was a 1-2-2 semi-half-court trap. They didn't really get to trap the ball. Then they fell back. What that does is takes time off the shot clock. And then Alabama got stuck just holding the basketball. Quinterly did, and then had a turnover.
Let's get to the studio. Here's Dari.
Well, just a reminder, as soon as we are finished there in Cola, we're going to send it to Music City. Alan Flanagan, Auburn's second leading scorer. Trying to snap a 3-game losing streak are the Tigers at Vanderbilt. Guys?
All right, Dari, thanks. Here's the story of this one tonight. Alabama, pretty good game from 3. John Petty's got 20, but he's put up 2 air balls from deep here late in the game, and turnovers have kept the Crimson Tide from being more efficient. Balanced attack for South Carolina, but it looks like it'll be Lawson and Bryant as their first choices down the stretch.
Tommy, I'll promise you this. John Petty does not thinking about his 2 air balls. He's been through this enough. He's hit big shots in his career. Expect him, if he's got a look, he's going to probably bury it.
Both teams in the double bonus. Woods back on the floor for South Carolina, playing with 4 personal. He's in front of Quinterly.
Alabama 14 of 16 from the free throw line.
Bama's going to use clock here. It'll get to single digits. Quinterly for Petty. A dribble and a 3. Another miss. Chance for South Carolina to tie or take the lead.
And no timeout by Frank Martin. Comfortable with his squad out there. Woods has been terrific off the dribble.
Gets a screen from Bryant. Will pull up from 17. And the foul on the rebound to stop the clock with 16 seconds left.
Wow, 7th Woods, terrific off the dribble, got the shot, he won it. Mid-range jump shot, he's made a couple tonight. He has been so good off the bounce. Quinterly's on him, and when he fakes to cross him, and boom, wide open.
Foul was on Minaya. It was a shot Woods wanted. I'm not so sure it was the entire set that Frank Martin wanted.
Well, here's the tough part. When you've got a guy that's you've got Lawson going to come off a screen on the other side, but Woods turns a corner, and he's got a 12 to 15-foot jump shot. It's a good shot to have.
Keon Ellis has one more coming his way, 78% from the line on the season. Doors still open for the Gamecocks.
South Carolina, if they need a three, Lawson has hit 5 threes tonight. He's 5 of 12. Only Minaya has the other 3. He's 1 for 6.
Need a 3 to tie. Clock at 10. Here's Minaya. Handoff. Force 3, Lawson. Skips off. Rebound, Alabama, and Rojas with 3.9 remaining. And now they say jump ball, and the possession arrow belongs to South Carolina. 3.9 left for the Gamecocks. They have a timeout left. Frank Martin will talk about it.
Wow, an opportunity for Alabama to get the rebound. Good job by the Gamecocks who got in there. Rojas looked like he had it. Needed to probably chest it a little better so they couldn't reach in without fouling him. Tough shot attempt by Lawson. Good block out. And that's why Rojas was had a smile on his face, because he's not sure there was a Gamecock that had any part of the basketball, just his arm. So Frank now, okay, you've got one guy, Lawson, who's made 5 threes, I just mentioned. Manaya's 1 for 6, and nobody else has hit one. Rarely will it be the guy, Lawson, that's going to get the shot. It usually could be the guy who's screening for him. Someone steps back. We'll see if there's any substitution. If Frank's got some confidence in someone that can just step up and say, hey, I'll knock one in. We know Kusnard is not afraid of the moment. He'll look you right in the eye. He's not afraid of it. Lawson, again, a catch and release kind of guy, but because he's 6'6", can take it one bounce and jump over the top of people to get his shot off.
South Carolina trailing by 3. Lawson with a game-high 21.
Kusnard's taking it out. A lot of times those guys are the dangerous ones. Plenty of time left.
Minaya at the block. They're going to take the easy deuce and get a quick foul, and they foul Rojas on the baseline.
Well, I love the defense because it doesn't hurt you yet. I mean, they played the three-point line, and Frank is kind of looking at Kusnard a little bit. This will be interesting. I mean, they're playing outside. They're going to guard outside. They give it to him. Great job by Petty to get that ball in quickly.
They want to make sure the clock's right. Terry Oglesby sends both teams back to their bench. South Carolina will get a free timeout out of this situation, depending on how long it lasts.
And Rojas is 2 of 2 from the foul line tonight. That will make him 15 of 27 on the season.
Clears the hoop at 2.4.
Can you read Frank's body language there, Tom? I can't tell. Well, no, you can. Now you can.
Yeah. A correction, they got that foul on Minaya instead of Woods. So he's still in the game. Alabama is 0 for its last 5, hadn't made a field goal in 4:19.
You know, the recognition by John Petty to get it in that quickly, some guys would freeze. And because he got it in, the clock moves. Rojas just needs to step up there and knock him in.
52% from the line on the season. 2 for 2 tonight. Yeah, Wood's still in the game. They had the foul on Minaya. See what Nate Oates does with his defenders. He's going to send 3 of them back and put 2 on the lane.
And no timeouts left for South Carolina. So even if this ball misses, very difficult for the Gamecocks to get it up the floor.
See who you want for the heave if Rojas makes this one.
Might be easier for the Gamecocks if he makes it. Now they've got a full field to play with.
Launches intercepted, and Alabama's going to end their 2-game road losing streak. Thanks to Keon Ellis taking it away. John Petty with a 20-point night. Alabama made it interesting. Here's a look at our Zaxby's player of the game, Petty. 3 of 10 from 3, but missed his last few. And the Crimson Tide survives on the road.
Well, a good effort. I thought they were terrific offensively. Great win when you get on the road.
Well, 2 offensive-minded teams put together a thriller. Alabama wins this one by 3. We'll get you to Nashville's West End via the other side of Atlanta, sitting behind his desk with Damian Fishback. Here's Dave Neal.
And welcome those of you that just watched